Hello, Capital W friends, fans, and followers. I'm Leslie Winnick, co-founder and board member at Capital W. And today I am supremely excited to have sitting with me Devon Bevis. She's an SVP at Mr. Cooper. There's so much to share. She's also just an amazing person in so many ways. So we're going to jump in. We're going to have the same 5 questions we ask all of our guests. Can't wait. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then we'll wrap it up with some fun, the Fast 5, where you get to learn a little bit more about Devin on a personal side.
Awesome.
Okay, so you're one of the few people I know in this business who actually chose mortgage. I'm very excited for this question for you. So give us a little background on your journey, how you went from learning about mortgage to where you are today at Mr. Cooper.
No problem. So, yes, I did choose mortgage. But when you say that, it's a little different. I chose the career that was going to pay me the most right out of college, to be perfectly honest. So, I grew up in Orlando, Florida, and I played softball at a small school in Winter Park called Rollins College. And because I knew that professional softball players didn't make a whole lot of money, I knew in my senior year that I needed to get out there and try to find a job. So did what any good student did, went to the career center, and I was an econ major, applied for every single job out there that was finance related, sales related, recruiting related, and mortgage popped up. A little backstory there. I grew up living in apartments, so I didn't even know what a mortgage really was or how that even worked.
Yeah.
But it was on the list of things to be interviewed for. And the kicker was the job was a college management program in Southern California. And it paid twice as much as every other job that they were offering. So sign me up.
Yeah.
That was a pretty easy thing for me to kind of select. But it was also an ability to extend effectively college because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up at 22 years old.
Sure.
And so I interviewed, I took the job. They flew me out to California. I had a full day full of interviews. I loved every minute of it. And who doesn't want to go to Southern California when you're 22 years old, right out of college, in a situation where you effectively have 6 months to figure it all out? So decided to take that job. The job was amazing. So effectively, if it was a 6-month rotational program, so I got to select from 5 different areas and learn, truthfully, Mortgage 101 from the grassroots. And as we all know, Countrywide was one of the largest, if not the largest, mortgage companies in the industry. So we went through rotations on capital markets, finance, warehouse, operations, and sales. At the end of that, I had to put a presentation together to effectively sell myself on which role that I wanted.
Yes.
Well, after 6 months in Southern California, I realized very quickly that Southern California is not Florida, and I wanted to get back to Florida. So the job that was available in Florida was an operations job. I also was mentored by an incredible woman named Carla Navis. She's no longer in the industry. She was the managing director of operations, and she effectively said, you stay on this path, you could have my job in 10 years.
Wow.
As a 22-year-old, that was an incredible thing to hear. So I selected operations and off I went and headed back to Tampa to live in Florida. I was in operations for about 6 months. It was an incredible part of my career, but I was thirsting for something a little bit more. And luckily, I actually got a call from Salty Meyer, if you guys are familiar with her, another fabulous female.
Fabulous Atlanta Plaza.
That's right. And she called me and she said, hey, we have a new sales team that's moving into Tampa. It was a non-delegated sales role. Would you be interested in being the sales associate for this team? I said, absolutely. And so off I went into sales, and I continued to move my way up into sales and really kind of found my footing in the mortgage industry. As we all know, Countrywide got bought by Bank of America. Bank of America exited correspondent lending. And so I was 24 years old without a job and completely freaked out. But good news, 6 weeks later, I was able to pick up a job with Fifth Third Bank, and I was a correspondent AE for them for about 1.5 years before I moved over to Pacific Union. Pacific Union, I managed the entire Southeast. That was the opportunity that came into actually managing people. So I had 3 direct reports at Pacific Union. 6 years later, Pacific Union got acquired by Mr. Cooper. And that's whenever I came over to Mr. Cooper. I was managing the Southeast for Mr. Cooper as the Southeast Regional Manager. And 1 year after the acquisition, the National Sales Manager role became available. My boss at the time, Chris King, love you guy, he did ask me about the role, but I happened to have just given birth about 3 months prior to that. And I laughed in his face and said, absolutely not.
Hormones.
Correct. That was a hard pass for me. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right place. I had other things that were more important in my life.
Yeah.
And lucky for me, and I think this is a testament to a lot of people, like, you don't have to take something if you're not ready for it. You can be uncomfortable and jump into something, but that wasn't the right time for me personally in my life. Oddly enough, about 8 months later, the role became available again. And this time I actually asked for it. And truthfully, I wouldn't have had the guts to be able to do that if I didn't have an incredible group of ladies that mentored me through the process to tell me that I could do it, even though I had 2 young children at home.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So they're an example for you, but I wonder, in the period, in that 8-month period while you're sitting there, did you think at all, should I have taken that job? Or are we like, that was a wise choice that I didn't do it right now?
I was saying it was a wise choice that I didn't do it right.
So that's interesting.
You know, what was interesting, and this is just food for thought, that year was COVID. That was when COVID hit. So amongst all of the other things.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I have 2 children and I travel quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that is a challenge as a working mother, but it's something that I signed up for and we make it work. My son, my firstborn, I traveled the same amount as I always did, right? You know, every other week, just going to different areas. So we had a lot of childcare. With my daughter and not taking that position and COVID, I was home with her every single day for the first year of her life. And it was my last baby. And I cherish those moments. So I think that it was the right thing for me at that time to have not really pursued the role.
Yeah.
And understood that, you know, I was who I was and I wanted to be there for my child.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in knowing that on your second time around.
Oh,
too.
yeah, big time.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your current position, Mr. Cooper, you know, national sales. But what does that really entail for someone at home who's watching this and isn't in the innards of correspondent and co-issue sales?
Sure. So when you think about mortgage sales, just in general, you've got retail and direct to consumer, which you would call B2C, right? So you've got a loan officer that's talking to a consumer, and that's how that sale is made. Then you have B2B. So we, from my team, we work with lenders that originate loans. And what we want to do is we want to buy their MSRs. We don't care how we acquire it, whether we acquire it through correspondent, which is when you sell both the whole loan and the servicing, or via co-issue, which you would sell the servicing to an aggregator like Mr. Cooper, and then you would sell the asset to Fannie or Freddie. So my team, as the national sales manager, I manage and lead the team that goes out there and talks to our 800 counterparties that want to sell us those MSRs. So everything B2B kind of falls under my purview. So that goes from correspondent, co-issue, bulk MSR, which is whenever the loans are more seasoned and they want to sell a package of loans that have already been serviced, all the way down to sub-servicing partnerships.
Yeah, it's like basically soup to nuts of the loan once it's been originated.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so a lot is happening in the world of mortgage at this moment. I haven't checked my watch of the news in the last hour, but what would you call right now the most pressing issue going on in our industry?
You know, I think it's uncertainty and probably the volatility in the market. I mean, you know, obviously, you know, we've all been in this market or this industry for a really long time. Borrowers don't know what's going on. Lenders don't know what's going on. Things need to just settle down a little bit. Yeah. Affordability is the vogue word. I mean, but it's true. That's the biggest challenge right now from an originations perspective. You've got homes that you want people to live in, but they cannot afford it. You know, whether it's where rates are, which you cannot control, whether it's the rising costs of taxes and insurance, these are all problems that we can't seem to fix. And that's probably what keeps me up the most at night.
Yeah, all 3 of them. It's a melting pot.
That's right.
What advice would you give someone who's interested in pursuing a career in capital markets?
To not be intimidated by the people in the room that don't look like you is what I would say. I think that we need more females in capital markets, quite frankly. I think that if you have interest and you want to get into capital markets, don't be afraid of the fact that you look and feel and approach things a little bit differently than everybody else in the room, that we actually need something like that. Mm-hmm. I would also say, and this is coming from somebody that I would say is not in the nitty gritty of capital markets, it's super confusing to everyone. Like,
I'm glad you said that.
Right, yeah. Even the ones that do it day in and day out, they don't know everything, right? Like, they have to look up those things too. And just because you don't know what all the vocabulary means, you can learn the vocabulary. But I promise you, that guy across from you doesn't know everything that he says that he knows, or even the gal across from you. Like, people in that business have to research, have to look things up. They don't know all the things. And it is very, very convoluted, but take your time, learn it, enjoy it, embrace it, and don't be intimidated.
Embrace it and don't be intimidated. Yeah, it's not frightening. Knowledge is power. I mean, it's a phrase for a reason.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you mentioned diversity and the importance of that, like several times in our conversation right now. It's not a tainted word.
Yeah.
It's diversity of thought, diversity of background, diversity of ethnicity, all of
everything.
Logic. So what recommendation would you give organizations right now to improve the diversity within their teams, especially their capital markets teams?
Yeah, they have to be thoughtful about it. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason that less people are applying for the role is because you're not being inclusive and it doesn't feel like that they can belong. So you have to start to embrace that. You have to have people from different walks of life. It's not just race or gender. It's, to your point, diversity of thought. How are they brought up? What do they know? What is their background? And even if it doesn't fit your box perfectly, if you are a good organization, you can help create that box for them and teach them what they need to know. If someone, to your point, knowledge is power. If someone has the thirst for knowledge, you can teach them anything. They don't have to have a degree in finance or capital markets. They have to have the desire to learn and want to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you learned you didn't like Southern California. I am from Southern California. I don't think I could live in Tampa where you live because I don't like mosquitoes the size of small bats.
No, me neither. But yes, that happens.
All right. So this is a fun part. Ready? Fast five.
Okay.
Rapid, quickly. Favorite food?
Ooh, yogurt.
Okay.
But a very specific yogurt.
Okay, what? Like a Greek yogurt with some kind
Greek
of special
yogurt
flavor?
With a protein powder with some.
Okay,
it's like a whole.
It's a whole
plate.
thing.
Yeah,
it's like
I could eat it breakfast, lunch, and
okay,
dinner.
that sounds better.
Yeah.
Okay. You're more colorful than just yogurt.
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. But I do like yogurt.
Okay. Hobbies or special interests? I know this one.
Yeah. So I would say health and wellness, fitness, working out, and sports in general. I think that, as my kids are starting to get older, I am getting into the phase now where I am watching my children love to be healthy. And that goes above and beyond just fitness. So like my son is obsessed with basketball and I play basketball. So we play basketball a lot. But he'll also go to the grocery store and he knows how to look for protein. He knows how to look for sugar. Like, I am teaching him how to make himself better. Trying not to do diet culture very hard because I'm a millennial and grew up in that phase. But really trying to help educate and teach him and my daughter what it means to be healthy and to be your absolute best self. So anything health and wellness related, optimizing your life, optimizing your body, that's my jam.
That is your jam. And it's working. A book, periodical, or podcast you'd recommend?
All right. So book, my favorite book of all time, and it is a textbook, so apologize for that. It's a book called Boundless, and it is essentially about, again, optimizing your life across all facets. It's got stuff about brain power, health and wellness, nutrition, working out. Really, really cool book. It's by Ben Greenfield, so big fan of that.
It's a bit of a pun, though. It's bound. It's book.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But you're supposed to be bound.
Yeah, I know.
You get the theory there?
I got it, yeah.
And then a podcast. So I will give a plug for Housing Wire. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Housing Wire. Gives me a little snippet of information on what's going on in the market, what's going on kind of in our industry. I like to listen to it on 1.5 speed while I walk the dog. They're about 30 minutes long. So that's my morning kind of ritual to do that.
Favorite musician or musical group?
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
Yeah, mic drop on that one. And he's about to come out
That's-
with another album.
That's
which is
easy.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was not going with the rap either. Okay. And finally, if you could travel anywhere, where would you go?
I would go back to Greece.
Pacific Island?
Yeah,
Or?
so Athens, all of
really?
it. Athens. I loved Mykonos, and I love Santorini, which is the places that everybody goes.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of history there for me. My parents actually met in Greece.
Oh.
My dad played professional basketball over there, and my mom was from England, and she went to Greece on holiday and just never left. So they met because she worked at a bar where they spoke English. My dad didn't know a lick of Greek, so they hit it off there. So I've got a lot of culture and heritage there. I grew up, my parents spoke Greek to each other. We went to Greek fest. So I absolutely love Greece.
This is why we get along. My people are from Rhodes.
I love that. Yeah, that's great.
Greece, my grandmother.
Very
Okay.
cool.
Well, we could talk for a lot longer. I'm not sure if they want to hear it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Hang on
for joining us, and we'll see you on the next Take 5.